Hello and welcome to our webinar, October edition. This month we're looking into AI as usual, but this month it's on e-commerce. So I'm very happy to have with me two experts in e-commerce that are going to share the screen, share the floor with me to give you insights on what's happening in the world of e-commerce related to AI, what can happen in the near future. And how brands and e-commerce company and service company around the e-commerce industry may take advantage of this very, very new technology that we're looking at every month together. So I will let the participant introduce themselves. So Mathieu, if you can give a short introduction of yourself.
Hi everyone. Happy to be here with you. So Mathieu Villard, I'm the founder and managing director of ComConsult. I've been in Asia from China to Australia for the last 17 years, and at ComConsult we focus on helping our clients and brands about transforming their ecosystem, their e-commerce ecosystem. And of course, how AI can play a very important part of that to help them being more efficient and scale further across all the different markets that we have in Asia.
Thank you, Mathieu. So today, Mathieu will cover the rest of Asia Pacific, the Southeast Asia, and while Ryan here will cover China. So Ryan, if you can introduce yourself in a few minutes.
Thank you, Stefan, for having me today. My name is Ryan Molloy, CEO of Redfern Digital. I've been in Asia for over 20 years, mostly China, but in the last 3 years, a lot of time in Southeast Asia. Redfern Digital essentially is a brand management agency, so we help brands with creative direction, marketing, both online and trade marketing, and then e-commerce, right? So we're a TP, support brands on Alibaba, JD, Douyin, and then TikTok, Shopee, Lazada, and other markets, different platforms. And one of our major differences as an agency is our ability to check store visitation and improve ROI for clients. So one of our key areas would be FMCG. It doesn't always relate to just FMCG, but anything that really can be sold online within a reasonable value is kind of where we specialize.
Thank you, Ryan. Great to have you here today with us. And myself, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Stéphane Monsalier. I'm the CEO and founder of System in Motion. And in my presentation, the most important part is the last line. I got my degree in artificial intelligence in 1993, which usually makes me the one with the oldest experience in artificial intelligence in a room, except on a very rare occasions. So for those of you who've registered for our website, you know that we do consulting, training, and implementation and integration of AI for companies, for corporates. And we have these webinars every month to look at AI from a different angle and from a different industry. So first, we'll let Ryan share some insights about and how the Chinese e-commerce is taking on AI and some practical use cases of how AI is being used in the Chinese e-commerce ecosystem. So Ryan, the floor is yours. You can share your presentation and enlighten us.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. One moment. Okay, can you see my screen okay? Should be loading up.
Yep.
Excellent.
Ryan, the floor is yours. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So the first part I've already run through, and I'll kind of touch on different types of AI for some of the audience that may not come across the different ones, and then I'll jump into how we're seeing this applied day to day in an operational sense on e-commerce in China. So obviously there's Gen AI, different types of different examples of this would be, ChatGPT, Scribe, AlphaCode, Midjourney. A lot of these are being used heavily across marketing and also in supporting the creation of e-commerce landing pages and for stores on Tmall and JD. So all of these we kind of see being used across agencies. ways in which the platforms themselves are utilizing AI would be more around machine learning and big data. So looking at different types of trends, utilizing algorithms, looking at historical sales data, optimization of inventory management, and then personalization of experience to the shopper. And then we're also seeing natural language processing AI models as well, in terms of like virtual assistants, chatbots, and different ways that customer services can become more efficient for store owners. Some examples of how it's being utilized in different platforms. One is an AI e-commerce marketing tool that Alibaba has recently launched, Huihua. Okay, so Huihua, and in terms of what we're seeing here is that e-commerce platforms are branching out not only in terms of how they're using AI within their own ecosystem, but creating tools and other platforms that you can utilize to make store operation more simple, right? So this is a benefit definitely to TPs, to Tmall partners, and it's also a benefit to brands that are individually running their stores. These creative tools essentially help for more intelligent marketing, and essentially for helping in terms of content creation, helping in terms of different types of production shots. And I think video and photo production, what we're seeing in e-commerce with the heightened need for video, and we know that this is, as a format, a better drive for sales than imagery or written content by quite some stretch. Being able to create large volumes of video content utilizing AI very quickly is where we're seeing a lot of the opportunity, right? And especially also in brands that would have large amounts of SKUs. And these would be, fashion, beauty, home goods, where you might have 200 to 300 SKUs per store, and then you have seasonal SKUs as well. It is very, very hard to keep up to date in terms of the video photo production and the content that goes around this. And so in terms of the first element that Huihua offers is copy generation, right? So not only can they help create copy, such as you could do with, say, ChatGPT, but they create copy that does have a better way of displaying selling points and different topics that would be more relevant to search. So it basically links the search activity data from consumers to what then you would need to input in terms of certain types of keywords to help improve the SEO of the store. So it's two purposes essentially in one, right? And so in terms of not only the copy and the landing page, but also what you would see in terms of IDs and product descriptions. The second one, which is where we're seeing the most, obviously, operating in FMCG, we do a fair bit in fashion too. Anything that's relatively fast moving is really, and what I mentioned before, this production element, right? So I would say we're quite an affordable production agency. We do photo and video production. But if you take one of our average fashion clients, and if you could get the lowest cost possible of about, with model shoots and different things per image, per shot of about, say, 250 to say 300 RMB, and then you're looking at, doing 300 shots for different SKUs every month as you're changing through different types of items, we're looking at potentially a 250,000 RMB cost per year that can be reduced through what Huihua can offer. And so what it allows you to do is to not only utilize upload models that you have, but you can choose AI models that they have. You can then also upload different garments and change color of the garments, so you don't need to do multiple shots of one garment, different colors. And then you can also look at kind of different angles, different displays, different backgrounds. So the savings in terms of what you can do on this for product imagery and also for landing page descriptions and also then visuals is very impressive. And then we look at product promotion. So it goes all the way through from the display and how you would kind of operate your display your store, all the way through to AI and product promotion. Now, I must say AI in product promotion, our team has not found to be as effective, but I think it's just because it's quite new. So this needs someone to understand how the model works. And this took us as a company a lot of time, and I think it's a very important thing for TPs. So basically now you can use AI smart promotion, where it will help you allocate marketing budgets across different types of ad options and help you increase or lower the expenditure based on the effectiveness on daily basis, pretty much. There's different periods you can choose depending on the budget. And you can then choose based on if you want it to be more customer centric, product centric, or kind of an event centric element that you've got as well. So you can tailor different plans. So this, I think, is one of the biggest things that Alibaba have put forward. And it really is changing the way TPs are operating. What we have found is it is very useful for the first 1 to 2 months, because it gives you a very good sense of capturing data and understanding what you should do. But the big issue that Alibaba have not yet solved is that it needs large amounts of data to continue to create benefit. And without that data, so new store visitation, what happens is it becomes a little bit of a closed loop. And so it actually loses its effectiveness. So it's kind of AI with a fair bit of management that is needed to ensure that it's being fed moving forward. And then in terms of ad platforms outside of China, that they're also running this. Some other examples of how this has been run is also in Red as well, Little Red Book. So we're also seeing they have e-commerce. They're utilizing keyword search, their search-based platform, to understand how you can best track and kind of move attention away from certain consumers. The final thing that I would say is obviously around chatbots. Now, we utilize chatbots in different markets. Unfortunately, the handling of customer inquiries in China has not been very successfully utilized with chatbots. And the reason why I would say that is because Chinese consumers are very demanding. And so the pre-sale of an item being the most important element, there are a lot of very specific questions, which we have found you can implement a chatbot, but you have to constantly update it and you have to give it a lot of support. And there will always need to be the fallback, and to be a very quick fallback. So it is definitely time efficient. But that's something in terms of, I think there are some elements. But that being said, everyday AI chatbots from Alibaba handle more than 10 million lines of conversation, taking up about 75% of online consultations. So as a first line of kind of defense, it is very popular and is being utilized, but again, comes with elements of that need to be improved. And yeah, there's different types of chatbots that can be utilized, all the way from like merchants within your store, assisting customers with different platform requests, and then also different disputes, mediation between merchants and customers. And then also they now have a bot to help train your own customer service team as well. So yeah, an important kind of warning is just really, I think AI in e-commerce is getting there, and it's getting there very, very quickly. And it is impossible to not work with, it's impossible to work without it, right? But there are still limitations in a complete reliance on it. I think complete reliance on it would lead to under average results, but being able to work with it, the cost efficiencies from both the agency and the brand side are worth it in the long term for what it's able to support, right? And we're seeing this, in, as I mentioned, around like just video development in China is just off the charts. Like our campaign team from content writing has probably gone down about 80%. Our video team is growing significantly as an agency, and we can't really keep up. Everything is moving to video, and I think in e-commerce, the attraction of video to sale, if we look at what's happened with Douyin, is actually becoming one of the most important elements. Even Alibaba have launched their own video platform, right, to be able to drive more traffic without using traditional banner ads. And so this is an example with Huawei, where they developed a video that captured the likeness of Xu Xiake, a famous Chinese explorer and geographer, and it shows him exploring different mountains in Yunnan before arriving at the real source of the Yangtze River. And this is kind of trying to increase Huawei's brand awareness in China, tying the brands to cultural heritage and really bringing that through. the whole thing was built utilizing AI imagery. And then we have also virtual key opinion leaders. I think this is where AI has probably had the most development in e-commerce in some respects, and has gone quite far, but also has limitations. So we know that, for example, there are live streamers and KOLs, some that are very open to being AI, live streamers that aren't. What we found is the ones that are open to being AI tend to be successful because people know what they are, they know what it expects. Some of the biggest live streaming AI kind of spokespeople have had huge errors where the camera has frozen, or there has been a glitch, and their fans that thought they were once real have realized they weren't. And overnight, they've lost a lot of traction, let's just say. So I think what we found here is being very open to the fact that this is an AI KOL actually is a benefit in the long term. But we are seeing a lot of development there. So yeah, brilliant. Thank you. Hopefully that summarized a few things that we're seeing.
Thank you, Ryan. Very interesting. I have a few follow-up questions for both you and Mathieu. So first, I like your warning near the end about being careful about the AI GC. I guess you put it there for a reason, right? So what is the worst AI content that you've seen online?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few. I think in terms of the worst was probably what I'd mentioned around the live streamer, right? I can't remember the name of the live streamer, but it was just, it would be this live streamer had grown to the top 10 in a period of about 3 months. And the reason why is because with AI, you can do 24-hour running, right? And so you're just the mass amount of kind of manpower behind one person is just not physically possible for a human. And then when the glitch had happened and people found out, they felt absolutely scammed by it. And I thought that was definitely something where the industry realized that we can't pull the wool over people's eyes, and there have been pretty big changes in terms of how people have reacted to that. And then also we have seen issues where there are TPs now running all of their operations on AI, and where the descriptions, because they've just been so careless, right? Yeah. And they're lowering fees and costs. We once had an ad for chocolate, and it was the descriptions, for a chocolate maker, and the description was calling it for chocolate. So on the SEO, people were not buying the product, and it came up because we do data scraping, and all of their brand portfolio kept coming up in our data. It was quite frustrating. We messaged them, and they'd said, "Oh, we hadn't realized that we put the wrong description," and it just shows a complete reliance, I think, on it. And I think that's where the warning comes in. The other element as well is that utilization of AI in translation for e-commerce in China is still elementary. It's one of the areas we find it when you try to translate into Chinese, there aren't the tools in place that are very effective, and there's always things you have to change. It becomes very poetic. And so we've had some landing pages where we've kind of come across clients that have been running themselves, and the landing page descriptions were romantic, and they're selling toasters, right? So I mean, yeah, there's some areas where I think in terms of the utilization of language, there's some way to go.
So very fair warning and very important warning. Yeah, we usually say with AI you need a human at the start and a human at the finish. And if you forget the human at the finish, you can get in trouble. Mathieu, what is your favorite AI failure?
I think Ryan mentioned about chatbot a bit earlier. There is a pretty famous one. I mean, unfortunately, that occurred at the start of the year back in January. That was in the UK for a company called PDP. That's a parcel delivery company. They implemented a chatbot, for customer services, where a client, can go there, ask about, where is my order, these kind of things, which helps a lot in terms of customer service support. Unfortunately, the chatbot, for any kind of reason, didn't look quite very well implemented, and was completely useless and answering. All the feedback was, "I'm sorry, I don't know, I'm sorry, I don't know," etc. And one user specifically tried, "Please answer me," by swearing, and the chatbot actually started to swear. And then that same user also asked the chatbot to provide a poem and with the how bad it is. And so the chatbot write a poem like 3 or 4 verses saying how useless it is and started to increment basically the company itself. So this ended up in social network and with some buzz, everything for the wrong reasons. So yeah, AI can be extremely useful. Yeah, just have to make sure the implementation is done correctly. And as you said, Stefan, human intervention at the end to make sure everything is aligned.
And then second question. So Ryan, you talked about video and you talked about your video production team, and you mentioned also that the photo shoot for models and fashion have gone down tremendously. So how much does it change for a brand management company like yours? How much is it changing your work to use AI?
A lot. I think our kind of our company and industry is probably on the front line of things being affected, right? Because obviously it's the efficiency of labor. What I got wrong in kind of the AI revolution was, when things started changing, was I always thought creativity would be the last to go. And interestingly, it's the first. And so that was the biggest shock to me, how AI can be used to actually you're never going to have the kind of out the box thinking that is just off the charts, that might be crazy successful, but might absolutely be a train wreck. You can't really get that because of the way that it works, but you can get, for good budgets, very good ideas very quickly. You can have all of the video and photo production to support it. And the way the industry is going now, which is very upsetting to our creative director, is towards low quality, high volume videos. And that's what we're seeing in the industry. And so AI is perfect to suit that need. And so for us, for a lot of our clients, haven't used it much, because actually a lot of big brands will put in disclaimers and different types of elements into our contract that would stop us from using it, right? Okay. And I think that is purely because they don't know about it, they don't understand it, and there's concerns, right? We are starting to see change, whereas our smaller to medium-sized companies are 100% for it, right? Because what it allows us to do is to lower the cost of doing business. We're going from 300 RMB to video, photo to 50 RMB on very high volumes. And so I think that's one element. The other element we use a lot in is research. So I think for research, it's very useful of trying to get quick answers and kind of top of level knowledge, overviews on countries, different elements of trying to help us in terms of market knowledge, holistic market knowledge. That's kind of, I guess the main areas. Areas where we aren't able to utilize it yet is actually on ads optimization, is one of the elements that it is being used, just because it needs layers of information to keep going. There needs to be that human element. And even within our copy, we're not using it as much. The creative is definitely, I would say, the creative design, the creative production is where it's been used the most.
Okay, thank you. And Mathieu, in the consulting industry, any impact from AI?
So I think the biggest impact it had really is on our capability to produce more. Fundamentally, I mean, the work hasn't changed. It's more about the ways of working. Today, I've integrated AI in most of my day-to-day activities, operations, research, as Ryan mentioned, ability to generate a lot more things a lot more quickly. And at the end of the week, when you look at what you're able to do in the level of quality you're able to do it's an easy 15 to 20% augmentation in personal capabilities. And when you look at that, that's basically a full day of work per week additional that you're able to deliver. So it's really at that level that I think this has a drastic impact on the industry.
Okay, so Mathieu, you can continue on the efficiency, on the operational efficiency. If you can share your presentation on the e-commerce side.
All right, let me bring this. Okay, so thanks, Stefan. Again, good afternoon, everyone. So operational efficiency, I mean, that's not something new for e-commerce organization. That's always been a huge part of the focus of them, and of course for myself also when we work on e-commerce digital transformation. And now AI is bringing a whole new set of tools for this organization to any level of organization, any level of maturity that provides real impact and that are measurable and scalable. So let's take a quick step back first and let's ask the first, the question, why AI? Why does it make such a game changer in operation? So a few things, and let's first look at resource optimization. When you think of manpower or material allocation for an organization, being able to strategically allocate the right amount needed instead of overcommitting or undercommitting to a task, that's a real advantage for a company. And by analyzing patterns, trends, today AI algorithms are capable of optimizing this type of allocations. Another critical factor is the accuracy, the improved accuracy that AI bring. Human error in repetitive tasks, that's inevitable, and AI actually excels really in automating these processes. It could be sorting inventory, processing orders, updating the whole set of data in data sheet or anything. AI definitely makes fewer mistakes, and that improve overall the data ecosystem of an organization. Then faster decision making. Today, the speed at how a business is able to make a decision can definitely break or make or break an e-commerce operation. AI can analyze operational data in real time and generate the insight that will help to inform that decision. AI also shine when it comes to greater scalability. When the business grows, at some point, the manual processes that you have put in place, that just simply can't keep up. AI will help scale this operation, handling larger volume transaction, data, customer interaction, etc. Quick example, if you think of an organization in Asia and Southeast Asia who wants to, open market after market and enter all of that, you have to make sure your ecosystem will be able to scale quickly and efficiently, across all of them. And again, AI is a great tool for that. The last thing that you see in this slide is about better resilience. Better resilience to operations, particularly in the supply chain industry. If you think by automating logistic and using all the predictive models that are available for demand forecasting, for example, AI is a great tool also to reduce potential disruptions. It allows businesses to respond faster to unforeseen event. You can think of a supplier delay, a tropical storm that I'm having right now in the Philippines, where you have that could shut down a delivery center, and then you have all those routes that need to be updated in real time. AI will bring that resilience needed for a business to continue to operate and to survive in such time. Now that we've seen about the more of the why should you use AI, I also wanted to bring a few concrete example that we've seen. And let's start with AI-driven inventory management. This inventory management is definitely a huge challenge and especially for business when you think of large product catalog or seasonal demand, something that varies across the year. AI will help by accurately forecasting that demands. It will analyze sales data, seasonality, and even external factor, economic trends, weather, and will help to predict stock level that will be needed. And when you think of that, when you think about stock level, you want really to avoid overstocking, understocking, and having that right stock level also within your organization will lower your cost when it comes to storage cost. An example on AI-driven related to the inventory, I also wanted to mention about the supply chain that I have here. The logistic in operation, I just mentioned the tropical storm here in the Philippines. Logistic operation with AI and the ability to optimize the route, the schedule, the deliveries, that helps track shipment on time, that provide also real benefit to organization. And an example also not really in Asia, but I'm pretty sure organizations such as Lazada, Shopee, large marketplaces also have something similar. This example is about Walmart. Walmart use AI for supply chain to test and try. For example, they're simulating Black Friday, which is the yearly peak event, with AI to anticipate hiccups and customer demand, so help them to balance before anything happens. Next is more around data and data management. We're in a fast-moving market situation, more in Southeast Asia, where you have a lot of different markets, a lot of different habits for customer, and keeping data up to date definitely is a challenging task for most of organizations. And AI can bring a lot of helps in that domain by monitoring your own data, but also monitoring competitor data, competitor listing, market trend, etc., to help you in real time adapt to that. A pretty good example, I'm sure everyone would be familiar if you think of the aviation industry. You log in once again, you check your pricing, then you want to get your ticket. The next day, your pricing already changed. That's how airline handles dynamic pricing, and everything is powered by AI and machine learning, and they adapt the pricing based on forecast, demand, peak season, lower season, and all these different parameters that would update in real time again pricing. Another topic that I mentioned here is error detection in product listing. If you think of a company operating across different channels, they can have their own website for e-commerce. They can have maybe a mobile app. They can be present in Asia. It's fairly standard to be across 2 or 3 different marketplaces, depending on which country you are focusing on. And maintaining the right data across all of these channels is pretty daunting task, and definitely AI is able to do that level of monitoring, generating alert, generating again in real time update if needed. The last example that I'm bringing that I'm pretty sure is also fairly known to the audience is around fraud detection and prevention. We always say AI is a new tool that is revolutionizing the business and e-commerce, but AI has been used in fraud detection for many years already. If you work with payment gateway, for example, like we can mention PayPal, Stripe, Asia Pay. There is a lot of payment gateway in the region. All of them mostly for fraud detection, and AI will leverage AI to really facilitate that detection. So by detecting unusual patterns, and by that I mean it could be country of origin, the volume of the order coming through the gateway, or even sometimes the order value of a very specific order could detect a fraud. So and all of that in the background is powered by machine learning and AI technology. So with all of these capabilities and everything, when we discuss with organization today, the question we have is okay, that's nice, and that looks extremely useful, but where to start? we are far away from that. We don't know how to bring this capability. We don't even know if we are ready to onboard this type of technology. So where to start? And so what we've done at Consult, we have developed basically our framework to accompany organizations through that reflection. And so we start first with an assessment. Understanding your e-commerce maturity level, understanding the capabilities of your organization as of today, and understanding where you want to go is key to understand and to be able to define the gap that you have. If you want to onboard, okay, let's do inventory optimization through AI. But if you don't have the right support, you don't have the right data in place, you're gonna spend 6 months doing something that will never deliver the expected value. So you have to understand first where you're coming from. Then prioritization. Prioritization it's all about strategic road mapping. Again, bringing AI is definitely right, but it has to align again with your business strategy. At the end of the day, AI is about tech, and tech is here to serve the business strategy, not the other way around. So you have to bring that the right way to your organization. Align is about having the right foundations. So we went through assess, we understand where you are. We went through strategic road mapping, so we know what to do, step 1, step 2, etc. And now it's time to adapt your ecosystem with all the gaps that we have been identifying. So, updating the tech if needed, or changing it if really that's required. It also comes through education. It's important that your own team, it's all about people. They have to understand why we are bringing the change and how this will help them on a day-to-day basis. So education is also a strong part of what we're working on. Once we have all that background work has been done, it's time then to ignite change. And we always try to build momentum first. We target quick wins. These are the smaller projects that are more manageable and that will demonstrate the value of AI quickly within your organization. And the goal is to build confidence across the team, across the different services, and show tangible results early on. And then finally scale. Again, AI by default is scalable, so that's not an easy thing, but that's the normal trajectory, I would say. So once you have AI integrated into a few core operations in organization, it's time to expand it, to scale it further, or even to expand it across other areas. And really, that's about it. I wanted to leave you with that framework and that mindset of how to approach it. And of course, if you want to discuss more, feel free to reach out to that to me and to us to come consult. So just to conclude, AI is not a futuristic concept anymore. Definitely, that's a real tool today that will bring real value and benefit to your business as long as it's approached and implemented correctly, like any piece of technology that you have today in your organization. So really start by assessing and understand your capabilities, have that groundwork really done thoroughly, then think strategically, and then scale as you go. That's really the advice that I would give today.
Thank you, Mathieu. So you mentioned that AI is ready today and can improve the efficiency. So in the list of use cases that you've shown, which one do you think has the biggest potential? And I guess it's maybe different from platforms and brands, but where do you see the biggest potential for efficiency gain or cost reduction?
So yeah, it would be definitely different, the type of industry where you are, but if again I take the more retail to large organization, I would say clearly AI-driven inventory management would be would have the biggest impact. Again, cost reduction with avoiding under or overstocking specific product decreasing storage cost. That will have a direct impact to an organization and visible to the whole organization. The close second would be that automation in supply chain potentially. Again, it's all about being able to anticipate what's coming. For any organization, in China or in Southeast Asia, if you miss those big moments where you're supposed to sell 10 or 20% of your yearly forecast, that's something you're never gonna get again.
Yeah, here in China, the brands have just entered their 11/11 promotion. It's a marathon now. It's almost a month, and nobody wants to miss that. So talking about China, Ryan, if you can unmute yourself. So in China, between the platforms, between the TPs and the brands, where do you see the biggest inefficiency that AI could solve?
I think in terms of one element I liked was the customer service chatbot that helped train TPs. So there are adjustments to Alibaba's backend all the time, and they don't tell you how to deal with it, right? So they have different types of training you go and attend, but you have to go to Hangzhou and essentially sit in a seminar and kind of learn how to best utilize it, which has always meant, and I think a big problem for them, it's always meant that the very largest TPs will be the first to walk into the door and get the training behind how this new type of AI works, or even a new feature, right? But I think utilizing AI to then help train the masses. I mean, there are tens of thousands of TPs in China, right? To help smaller brands better be able to utilize these tools. I think is very important, right? And especially on brand to brand, there's a lot of brands that don't work with TPs; they do it themselves. If they were, for example, they had decided to put the AI marketing tool on in Alibaba, they would have similar results to we did in the first 2 months when we tried to pull brands onto it, and it wasn't great. We didn't see any uplift. And so I think, yeah, that's one of the best ways I think the platform and the agencies could work together.
I mean, it makes a lot of sense because those platforms have grown to a level of complexity that hardly anybody can manage. For the audience and people that are outside of China, maybe I should have designed TP. So TP stands for Tmall Partners, but the term is also used for JD and other platforms. So they are service company that manage up to the sales, the inventory, the delivery, the customer service. So they manage front end and back end on platforms on behalf of brands. But in China, we all use TP and everybody understands TP, but maybe some of our audience is outside of China. Second question for you, Mathieu. I see that in many industries, there are a lot of people that are scared of AI to this day. I mean, they know there's something there and they know they want to explore, they need to explore it, but they are still kind of almost physically scared of it. Do you see the same thing in e-commerce companies and brands who want to step into that area?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's again, as any new piece of technology, moreover that has a direct impact, and visible from the end consumer side. It has a part of scary on the when you go live. If it's wrongly implemented, it will have the wrong effect. Think of the chatbot example that I gave earlier. But compared to being scared, I think it's more to the organization. They understand that it's not a buzzword. AI is here to stay, and it brings real value to an organization. So it's really about for an organization that I think that they are not really realizing the potential that AI could bring to them in their daily operation. That maybe they just stay above it and just think of what they're seeing in the social network and everything that give that feeling of being scared of it, really.
And Ryan, you already kind of answered that question earlier, saying that some brands forbid you from using AI in their brief. Do you try to educate them, or you just take the brief the way it is? Because anyway, if you refuse, it's going to go to another agency.
I mean, in all honesty, it is in our favor as an agency to not use AI, right? Because I can justify long working hours and endless weekends on creative idea and thought. But you know, I can understand why there is that concern. What we've kind of agreed to is having a mixture of both. So basically we have to embrace it. And so we can support clients and be upfront about it to them that we will be utilizing AI in certain services. And that's allowed us to work with smaller clients we probably wouldn't be able to before. And then, you know, we still have larger clients where they, you know, there are still some limitations in the AI, you know, kind of imagery, right? Like we have some fashion clients who are so particular, they will look at very, very small details that AI can't do. So I can understand why they don't want to, because there might be errors. And then also a lot of companies, especially when it comes around imagery, around kind of, privacy policy, around different kind of utilization of images on an international level, they get very scared. And I think the legal system hasn't caught up with it yet. So they're kind of like, but are we allowed to use this image everywhere? I'm like, well, it's a publicly kind of AI generated image, right? Like, but there's a lot of things that kind of come from that in terms of utilization of images for how long. And so it's safe to not use it. So yeah, what we've kind of do is kind of segmented it and give the option. And you know, it's it depends what you're looking for. I think in e-commerce, there is a big drive to AI. Because you've got such a volume, right?
Yeah.
But if we're doing a brand video, then there is often the sense of we need to have this creatively made. We don't want anyone to ever know this was AI generated. We want it to come from the heart and the brand and have real imagery. So there's still that kind of sentiment. But I think on e-commerce, yeah.
I think there's a huge difference between a poster that would be on the side of a building and something that would be a thumbnail on your phone scrolling through Team.
Sure.
You're not looking for the same level of quality. Thank you. So now we'll move into the Q&A section. But actually, looking at the first question, I would like to very quickly go through one important concept. Which is not this one. So one concept related to training models, because that's something I wanted to share, because there's usually a misconception that everybody needs to train their own models if they want to have good results. So this one, we're taking it from text point of view. So text model, large language model or small language model, LLM or SLM. So if you want to train your own models, that's the column on the left, it's going to take you weeks. It's going to be very expensive. So large models take millions of dollars to train. It's a complex process. It's usually a 4 or 5, can be 10-step process. Your result will be a very generic model. So the one we enjoy, Gemini, Kimi, OpenAI, they can do a lot of things. They are multi-purpose and they're fast. I mean, relatively fast. They can reply quickly, but they cannot quote their sources. So there is no way for LLM, when you ask a question, they cannot tell you where it's from, and LLM are famous for giving you wrong quotes that don't exist or reference things on the internet that doesn't exist yet. Models, that's why models are becoming more complex and multimodal, and they're trying to enhance them. If you fine-tune a model, which is a different process, it means you take a model that is already there, and you just want to fine-tune it. So you just want to make adjustment to this model to get some knowledge pertaining to your own company, pertaining to your own knowledge. It takes a few hours. It's cheaper. It's more than $1,000. It's simpler. And you'll get a specialized model. So if you're a brand and you say, I want that model to know everything about my brand and my products, then you get a model that knows very, very well your brand, but I kind of lost a little bit its generosity. And you're driving it into something that is more single purpose. It's still as fast as the original model. That's one of the interesting part of the fine-tuning, but it still cannot quote its source. So it still cannot reference the document where the information is coming from. Instead of that, what we've been invested on is knowledge management and knowledge-based assistant. Maybe in the industry, the technology is called RAG, R-A-G, Research Augmented Generation. But we prefer to call it knowledge management because this is what it does really on the on the business side. So it's very fast. It's just about indexing the document. It's way cheaper. It's more like $1, less than $1 per document. We can completely automate the training, meaning when we implement it into our customer, they just need to drop a document and then it's part of the new knowledge base and they can use an assistant immediately. They become specialized and they need to be specialized, and they become specialized in a very interesting way. If you ask a question and the answer is not part of the document base, they will say it's not part of my the knowledge. So we are completely eliminating the issue of hallucination and wrong information. It can be multimodal, so we can have different types of assistant. It's a bit slower than the original model, and the best thing is it can quote its source. So whenever the AI is generating a report, a bullet point, a presentation, executive summary, we can trace it back, and the user can trace it back to the original document. So that will lead us into the first question about training model. And again, this one is about text. The picture is slightly different for pictures and video. I don't even know if you can fine tune the models. So now let's move into our Q&A section. So I saw that the first question was directed to you, Ryan. So one of our participants wants to know you. What are you using? Are you using Quan? So by the Tongyi Qianwen, the Alibaba model. Have you developed your own model for image or for text? And what are the limitations that you have to face in China?
Okay, so we're currently working off kind of all available platforms. The ones that I mentioned in the beginning of the presentation. We haven't yet built our own. I think for us, we're still in a stage of trying to understand what the platforms will provide, and what we could do ourselves, right? So I think in China, and this goes on to kind of, I guess, the second part, GBT and a number of other Mid-Journey, they are blocked in China, but there are ways, I won't go into details, ways around that you can use them, which I think is quite frequent. And so we've actually found that for what we're doing, they work more effectively than the likes of, say, Kimi, which is the China-built AI, right? So I think right now we're still kind of utilizing what's being developed in the West. That being said, China is up and coming very, very quickly, scarily fast. And so I think we'll start to transition over. And one of our biggest limitations, and I get this every day from a lot of our competitors in the marketing world, is building copy using AI in Chinese. It's one of the biggest limitations out there. And so I think that will soon kind of become a reality as well. But for now, yeah, we're using available platforms, and I think we're waiting to see what would best fit and what are the gaps that we would need if we were to kind of look at building our own model. Yeah. So for the Chinese one, I've looked at it recently. So Quan is coming out quite fast into the benchmarks, just as a pure LLM. It's not something that we need, but it's also becoming the best at math. I mean, I think in August, it came out first of all the math benchmarks. For video, I don't know what you use for video, Ryan, but Minimax, high-low AI, Minimax is well regarded for 6 seconds video. What do you use for video? We use I forgot it now. It's Synthesia. Okay. And then we also use it's off the top of my head now. Runway. Yeah, Runway. Yeah. Okay. Well, you may want to look at the new one, and there's another one called Hyper, HAIPER, that's been released last week. But we can have a call next week, and there will be a new one. So that's the problem. Mathieu, what are you using? What are your tool set of choice? Your favorite AIs?
On my side, so it's more about textual concept. So ChatGPT and Llama 3.2 with agents on top of that to really a bit more specialize the work that I need them to do.
Okay. And do you upload your own company document, or you just use the model as it is?
So for now, I'm doing some internal tests of company document, but within within my own personal infrastructure. I'm not using general internet for that.
Yeah. And you see the e-commerce. Do you think the e-commerce company are aware of the risk of sending their product catalog and pricing and everything on the internet?
I mean, there is definitely a real discussion that needs to happen about data, what you can share, what you can use efficiently with AI, and of course, what are the best practices to safeguard your own proprietary information. That goes through discussion, education with companies, but that's clearly one of the biggest concerns that we see.
Yeah, I think we should probably develop a training course on AI for e-commerce, right?
That sounds a pretty good idea to me.
Yeah, pretty good idea.
So full disclosure, we are working on training for e-commerce, AI for e-commerce with Mathieu. It's something we hope to release in the coming months. So thank you very much, Mathieu and Ryan.